When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ledlow, and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast. This is Mark Ledlow, your host, and the owner of Ledlow Security Group. This is our first podcast of 2026. Took about probably about 3 to 4 months off, and had to go work on the business fourth quarter, and here we are. And so, with that said, our first guest of the year is the one and only Phelim Rowe from United Kingdom. Welcome to the first show, Phelim, and thanks for your time. I'm not sure what time it is. I'm guessing it's probably late out there in England sometime. I think you guys, 9 hours ahead of us?
Yeah, not so late, and great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we all know Phelim with Circuit Magazine or Circuit, the Circuit and CTG. You know, you run the Circuit with several other people. That's empire in and of itself, and it's a library. For those who don't know, it's a library of just security-related podcast, just to help the industry. You guys have had that thing going on for a long, long time, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, the Circuit Magazine started way before I joined it, and I think it's been going 17 years. Started with John Moss and Sean West, and of course Elijah Shaw. And 2020, I joined, and we started our podcast. Our podcast is thematic, so no matter when you listen to it, you can pick out the topic that you would like to, focus on. It's still doing very well. Some of the early episodes get loads of good downloads, which is very encouraging. Had you one, and there's a forthcoming session with you as well. And of course, my other hat, the CTG Intelligence event series. We run the Executive Security and Closed Protection Technology Forum in London, coming up 29th January. As well as, of course, the Convergence series, now called Align, DC in May, Phoenix in August. So lots of hats, but very much around the protector corporate security community.
Wow, that's a lot. So yeah, 3 different businesses or 3 different units that you oversee, that you work with different people. You have the CTG Circuit, and then you have what you do, events.
No, but it's all complementary. It all complements each other.
Yeah. And you've been in the event space for quite a long time. I saw something when you're much younger, talking to somebody. You posted that, I think, on LinkedIn a while back. Like, whoa, he's been at this event thing for a long, long time, running panels and moderating. You like moderating. You have a knack for it.
Well, I have had some practice. And people like me, conference producers, weren't always allowed to try moderating. In fact, it was discouraged. In some quarters, it still is discouraged. You're meant to be the curator behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That I can, to a certain extent, understand why, because a lot of conference producers start their career in their early 20s, when they may be capable of moderating, but do they have the gravitas? Do they have the respect in the industry? But I think as time has gone on, the role of the conference producer has gone beyond the person that can jump between topics to the person who has to remain in a topic and to remain committed to it. That's why you'll see on my bio, I call myself an analyst. I'm quite careful there.
Sure.
Because I am not in security. I am an analyst.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm on the outside looking in.
Okay.
But I'm specialized, right? So you don't generally see me jumping between Mother and Baby Expo and infantry weapons, right? You don't see that with me, right?
Right.
Whereas maybe classically the conference producer role, before, obviously I work for other company. The role was eat what's put in front of you, do whatever I tell you to do. And yes, tomorrow you might be working on pharmacovigilance, And the day after that, yes, you might also be working on road traffic safety as a conference. I think we've evolved, which is why I'm very keen to say I'm an analyst in this security risk management space, but nothing more.
Nice. Makes sense. Oh, so it's funny to me that not funny, it's unique to me that you have done so well without being, federal agency guy or special forces guy, but you have a very powerful force with people skills. You have a gift and understanding and knack for connecting with people.
Maybe, but there is a bit of a thought process behind it all, because if I had the best people skills in the world, and then you said, right, you're inviting me to what? And I go, I don't know. I mean, that's not very enticing. So the process is to interview people to understand pain points and also peel the layers of an onion.
Right.
If I said, what's keeping you up at night? Most people, the initial first thing they say is not correct, or it's not what I'm looking for. So if I said, what's keeping you up at night? And you go, oh, I'm waiting for this contract to come in. That's a money thing. I was like, okay, can't really have a conference dedicated to, I would like some more money. That, yeah, we can spin all those, online guru type courses, of course. But we need to peel back the layers. What's really keeping you up? Well, there's this new technology. I don't know if it's proven. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if it's ready. And there are many different directions to take. Tell me more. And we unpeel that, we unpack it, and we learn that perhaps a conference could exist around, I don't know, let's pluck out from thin air, GSOC technology, AI in the GSOC. Well, can you have a SOC in your pocket? Can you replace operators? Should you? Should you have a SOC anyway? Should you have a subscription service? You start to get an agenda. And that agenda is talismanic, because when people can see that you understand their actual pain points, then they say, well, I don't know this person, but they certainly seem to know what's important to me. So yes, perhaps people skills, but ultimately, I would say it falls around the creation of an agenda.
An agenda. And you're good at creating that agenda. You're great at creating that environment. And I recognize your voice. You're at that conference, you're telling me, and you're talking, and somebody turned around, I know that voice.
Well, that's the podcast work, yes. And maybe I have a face for radio, so fantastic. But the thing is, back when I was working for another company, they had a bit of a policy that said, get a chairperson, a nice, strong chairperson. Great. Important. But if that chairperson disappeared due to illness, sickness, whatever, you would be encouraged to basically cajole someone else to be chair for that day. But I encountered a scenario where there was no suitable chair and there was some political dynamics at play. So I did it, and it worked very well. I know it worked very well. I may have looked young, but I know it worked well. People, complimented me and gave good feedback. I say that not to say, look at me, aren't I great at moderating, but more to say that I took that opportunity, and no matter what people said afterwards, such as you should never have done that, you should have just basically gerrymandered nobody into a position of chair for an international conference, I know I made the right call. But in doing so, I did learn. So, it is a trade-off.
What was your life like in your career? You got out of college, you went to college. I'm assuming you went to college, and then you broke in. Most people say, I want law enforcement, military. But what's the Phelim journey? What produced you? What made you decide to get into all this?
So, this was complete chance. I wanted to be a civil servant. I wanted to work in the government.
Hmm.
I wanted to work in public policy.
Ah.
And so my undergrad was essentially history and German. My master's was political economy and European law. But funnily enough, I probably have done better not doing a master's because the Great Recession happened when I graduated my master's, and all of my friends who had graduated for the previous year, they were on good tracks. They were in the graduate schemes. I then found myself, I discovered about myself that I'm not great, or I wasn't great at job interviews because I had 42 of them and I didn't get anything.
Wow.
Now, at least I got the interview. That was nice.
42.
But I think at the Great Recession, people were being very, very scared. There were probably a lot of jobs out there that weren't real or that didn't materialize into jobs.
Yeah.
But I think I realized one thing, which is that, less can be more. Because if you ask me, can you show me evidence of A, B, and C? I thought it'd be a great idea to not only give you the answer to A, B, and C,
right,
but to say I've also got D, E, and F. Whereas actually in a job interview, if they're not asking for it, they don't want to know.
Ooh.
And then they either feel that you are bragging, wrong, not self-aware, but at the very least, not a match.
Wow. So if they're not asking, they don't want to know.
Yeah. You can obviously ask them, would you like to know more? You can obviously do that.
Absolutely.
But through this process, I did end up getting a job in the Department for Communities and Local Government in town planning. I was the most junior member of a team that did a review of the town planning system. Then I worked in trade policy. Then I worked in ministerial private office, where for such a young person, I had far too much influence, which I think it was an eye-opener for anyone who knows the program Yes Minister, Yes Prime Minister, and a little bit of the thick of it, but it was more Yes Minister. That's the kind of environment I was in. And then I went in trade promotion for UK DZO, promoting British products. But I realized that perhaps a career in the civil service wasn't quite what I thought it might be. I felt, maybe wrongly, maybe others identify this way, that everything I was doing was to take what happened last year, wrap it up as new, and present it as new, but thereby not changing anything. Or my experience in the review of the town planning system, we had this fantastic review. You can look it up. You can see it on Wikipedia, the Killian Pretty Review. It was public sector meets private sector. All the recommendations were accepted in principle, which meant nothing. So I became a little bit suspicious that a lot of work was being done so that somebody somewhere could reply to someone in a letter to say, have no fear. We're doing a review.
Right.
So I looked for jobs. I looked for other jobs, and I saw this thing, defense conference producer. I didn't quite get it. I didn't quite understand it, but they offered it me on the spot, and in a rather mercantile way, they said, "You've got to accept now." Wow. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Fine, okay." So I started in defense conferences.
Okay.
Did them around the world. Did the art of the impossible, and then 2015, I started my own company because, like many people, I thought it could be done better. Things can be better.
Entrepreneurship kicked in.
Yeah.
So you've been around the globe doing this stuff for several years.
Yeah. And if I were to make an estimate of how many conferences I've produced, it's probably close to 550. I can't keep track, or I've lost track, but it's about that many.
How has the community changed since COVID? Before COVID and after COVID, it's two different worlds now. I mean, the workload has definitely died off. People are really careful on what they spend money on. Have you seen a change? What do you see out there?
Which community?
Let's say the corporate security or the corporate world versus the world I'm in, executive protection, and then we have the SOC world and AI world. That's always going to be a driving force with AI and GSOC world.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely I've seen a change and shift in the executive protection industry after COVID. People are just like, they're just not spending money like they were for that services. And I guess my question is,
Mm.
what are you seeing in the changes in doing conferences, and do people really take it seriously walking through the door trying to meet people?
Yeah,
What do you see out there?
I see encouraging signs. Um, I think that people have discovered that anyone can create an event.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone can do it, why not me? And actually, that's had a tremendously positive effect on the industry, because you might say, oh, people only have so much time to do this and that. Well, if there are more conferences that are good, they'll actually go to more conferences. This is why, if I see, let's say, a conference that I might compete with, maybe, we don't really look at that, but let's say I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's very bad for me if that conference tanks, because people don't go, oh, that was a different conference. They then say all conferences.
Oh.
So after during the pandemic, everybody realized that they could, if they wanted to, create a conference. So they did. And everybody thought, well, I could create an association. And some did, and those have just disappeared. Or some said, I'm going to set up a magazine, and they float away, because they're actually really hard work, and you really put a lot of full-time effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
But after COVID, people are still going to lots more conferences, lots more meetups, and that's good. It's a good thing. The industry,
Well,
yes, it's changed, but the conference circuit is back.
I think people generally desire connection. They desire interaction with another human being versus sitting at home and being on a Zoom call or doing everything on your phone. You just get so much more out of that table talk at lunch, face to face in Las Vegas or New Orleans, discussing life. It seems like,
Well, you more, or you get something else, something different.
mhm,
Because if I met you for the first time online, then perhaps, yes, we can have some sort of relationship. But if I met you the first time at GSX or something, and then we continue our dialogue virtually, like we're doing right now,
mhm,
then
sure.
it's okay. It's an extension. It keeps the plates spinning.
Mm,
Um, Now, different countries view conferences in different ways. And you
okay.
can't generalize. You can't generalize, because even across the United States, there's different approaches to conferences.
Mm,
Um, and again, I can't generalize. I want
yeah,
to.
yeah,
I
sure.
could, but I
Yeah,
shouldn't, right?
sure.
There are some people for whom the only time they're allowed to take annual leave is when their boss sends them to a conference, which is why traditionally these conferences at golf courses and Disneyland do so well, right?
Right. Makes sense.
Because people in the US do not have the same annual leave entitlement as they do in Europe, right?
Uh,
So conferences are really important uh, for that. But if you go to Germany, conferences need to be ideally with people that you've got relationships with already,
mm,
because the extent to which you can make a fortuitous connection randomly at a conference and that person becomes automatically in your Rolodex, it's not the same.
not the same. Interesting. Didn't think know that
It takes time to get to know them.
in
They're
Europe.
interested in lifelong relationships. Whereas I could go to a conference in the US, go, hey, and suddenly I've got someone in my Rolodex. Germans may not reply to your email if they don't know
Wow.
you. They want to see you. They want long-standing relationships. But there's other geographies too. Um, there's so many different forms of conference. I've run events in Nigeria and Ghana and South Africa and Singapore and India and Tanzania and Brazil and all over Europe and Australia, and I've done other things for other geography, right? Everybody's different, but I would say that whatever you're doing, if you do it with enough enthusiasm, you do the right research, people are drawn to that.
You create the stage and people will come.
Yeah, Kevin Costner's Field of Dreams kind of works, unless you build it and walk away and go, well, I built it. It's the enthusiasm. It's the momentum. What talismanic figures have you got there? What networks are you tapping into? What topics are truly important? But even when I say that, I know in my heart of hearts, there are conferences out there that say, I'm a conference about nothing in particular. and it just does well. I don't know if I approve of it, but
how it works.
It can work.
Wow, that's wild to me. It's interesting to get your perspective on this conference stuff and mixer stuff and all that, because you fly across the country, and then you hit your spots in New Orleans, you hit Arizona, then DC, then you come to San Diego, you start making the circuit run, and then I'm like, hey, do you have a private jet at the airport? You're moving and grooving like crazy.
No, I go economy. That's how I can afford it.
Wow, 15-hour squashed in the middle of two big people. I can't imagine.
No, it's fine. I'm not very tall, so I'm happy to do it. Yeah.
What's the vibe out there right now? What is the vibe you're hearing from people for 2026? Is there more enthusiasm for people to get out there and just meet more people? Because it's interesting. I think that the U.S. is more transactional, quicker in the U.S. versus Europe or Germany, like you said, is it's a long, ongoing friendship.
Yeah. I think people are still committed to meetups, to creating their own events that may only last 1 year, but it's cool. That's fine. These things ebb and flow, and I think people are positive about this year. Yeah, they go geopolitics and they say, maybe I can't go here, I can't go there, but your average event in a place that you normally go, you want to go there. This idea that there are too many conferences, okay. I mean, the market will decide.
The market will decide, absolutely.
I think people are still very much focused on it. Now, of course, people in the US, they can be more transactional.
Yeah. It's funny you bring the US up, because I feel like a lot of people I see at the conferences, but you never talk to each other on the phone.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing to me. I'll have a conversation with a few people. I'm like, when was the last time I had a call with them? Never. And they want to be your best friend. They look in your face, hey, good to see you and all that. I'm like, when was the last time I had a call with that person? In Europe, it's probably different.
Yeah, I mean,
each other all the time.
Yeah. Although some places in Europe can be quite professional. So some countries, I mentioned Germany, one in particular, just because I did lots of German events, they have a clear sense of what is and is not professional.
Oh wow!
And this probably doesn't happen anymore. But back in the day, and I picked Germany just because it's in stark contrast to places that have not been, I think the term is Coca-Cola-nized, right?
Sure.
Germany has a very, very strict understanding of what being professional is. So there were, maybe up until the 80s, I don't know, maybe even later, everybody was on a surname basis with each other, right? And two gentlemen, for example, this would be typically a gentleman thing, I don't know, who had known each other their entire careers for like 40 or 50 years, would decide to become on first name basis with each other.
Mhm.
And it would be a ceremony involving cognac, and I think there's even something silly where they pour it over each other's heads or something, just to break down that professional wall.
Wow.
So they might want long-standing relationships, but they still are very professional. They may not be hanging out, on the
Mhm.
phone. But maybe the UK is a happy medium in that regard. Maybe it's a happy medium.
Sounds like it. Yeah. I had no idea it was so different. No clue. Like I heard the exec protection community is so different in the US versus the Europe side. It's totally different personalities.
The EP community here is very vibrant and is very much up for connecting, but it has a real use case, which is if I meet Mr. or Mrs. Switzerland, well, I do want to have a good working relationship with them because I may need a local operator.
Yeah. Sure.
And yet, I'm sure a lot of them hang out, and there are some great meetups and great pub meetups where people will undoubtedly, become friends and get to know each other. But I think, yeah, people are a bit more skeptical. They want to hear about referrals and they want to see what you've done. And similarly, for conferences, people want to be selective because honestly, there isn't as much money floating around in Europe as there is in the States, just generally.
Interesting. That's what I've been hearing too from a lot of people internationally. They say, yeah, most of our clients are from the US, Silicon Valley. I'm like, what? Really? They go, yeah, most 90% of our biggest clients are Silicon Valley or US based.
Mm.
And when we slow down, they slow down.
Yep.
And people reaching out to me, email from, I don't know, Europe, South America, Australia, Asia. Hey, do you have any work? I'm like, no, it's quiet here. I'm like, oh, do you have any work? Well, we usually get most of our biggest stuff from the US. I'm like, wow. I think since we live here, we don't see the magnitude that the US has for our economy globally. We just don't see it.
Yeah, so it's a fantastic economic beacon for the rest of the world. Even in states that people go, oh, they're down the rankings of, I don't know, GDP.
Mhm.
Those states are still bigger than a lot of international countries.
Yeah, right.
Um, and a state that has a lot of poverty. Okay, but the people who are not poor are still spending, and they're still, they still have a lot going on. And maybe through quantitative easing over COVID, there
Mhm.
was a lot of money floating about, but that seems to have been part
Mhm.
of inflation globally now. And I think we're probably at that point where we're waiting for another stimulus, and then we'll see everything kind of pick up again. But event space absolutely thriving. Over COVID, there was a big UK events company that, of course, I know and I've worked for, and their
Sure.
share price tanked.
Oh, no.
But it's back, right?
It's back up.
People, and I should have gone buy some shares or whatever, but like
Mhm.
it's thriving, and people are very much looking forward to this year.
So that's kind of what you're hearing on the ground is the 2026 is going to look pretty strong just for business development for people in all industries, not just executive protection or cyber AI, GSOC stuff, but
Hmm.
a lot
And
of
yeah, maybe the AI bubble will burst. Maybe it will.
who knows.
Cool. Who knows? Who knows? Um, but what what I would hope is that
Yeah,
people are more conscious of where they're spending their money,
right.
but they must understand the limits of what they can and cannot know about a conference.
Mm.
I see big corporations that employ big teams of marketers,
Mm.
and they create a lot of work around ROI for a big trade show. And they create graphs and spreadsheets, and they ultimately are creating a justification for why they dropped 200 grand on a stand at a big expo. But I don't know. I don't think that methodology works. I think that a lot of marketers claim sales that were done by business development.
Interesting.
And it should be that marketers chum the water and get people interested, and then other people seal the deal. But then I guess I just see a lot of people spending money in ways that are reassuringly expensive. Like, oh, it cost me $100,000, so it must be better. No, you are paying their overheads.